How you gonna handle it? We seen what you did with Shedeur. And it was unacceptable. No blacker division than the NFC South. I'm telling you, you got Atlanta, Carolina, and New Orleans.
Carolina,
that's the blackest division in all of football. Shedeur, a member of the culture.
Yeah.
And you probably done landed in the most culturist
of culture.
Of culture.
Oh my goodness.
Cam Newton just went absolutely nuclear on the Atlanta Falcons ownership for their decision to bring in Kevin Stefanski as their new head coach. And folks, when I say he went off, I mean he pulled no punches, held nothing back, and delivered one of the most scathing, unfiltered critiques we've seen in recent memory. Newton is calling out what he sees as a massive betrayal to the culture, to the community, and specifically to young black quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, who he believes got sabotaged under Stefanski's coaching in Cleveland. This is about to get real, so buckle up. Let's set the stage here.
The NFC South is almost the HBCU of NFL football.
Oh, very.
The Atlanta Falcons, a franchise situated in one of the blackest cities in America, in what many consider the blackest division in the entire NFL, the NFC South, just made the decision to hire Kevin Stefanski as their head coach. And Cam Newton? He's calling this exactly what he sees it as: a slap in the face to the culture, to the community, and to everything that Atlanta represents. Newton came out firing on all cylinders, and his main target was crystal clear. He's questioning how the Falcons' ownership could look at Stefanski's track record, particularly his handling of Shedeur Sanders in Cleveland, and think, yeah, this is the guy we want leading our team. Cam didn't mince words. He straight up declared that Stefanski is a racist coach who denied Shedeur Sanders his legitimate chance simply because Shedeur represents hood culture, because he comes from that authentic black experience that guys like Stefanski apparently can't or won't understand.
How you gonna handle it? We seen what you did with Shedeur.
Think about the optics of this for a second. You've got a coach coming from Cleveland, a team where there were only a handful of black stars who truly represented the culture. And now he's being transplanted to Atlanta, a city where the entire fan base, the entire community, is predominantly black. The disconnect couldn't be more obvious, and Cam Newton is making sure everybody sees it. Newton posed a question that's been echoing through social media ever since this hire was announced. If Stefanski treated Shedeur Sanders this badly in Cleveland, what makes anyone think he won't do the same thing in Atlanta? This is the critical issue that Cam is hammering home. We're not talking about isolated incidents here. We're talking about a pattern of behavior, a systematic failure to develop and support young black quarterbacks who come from that authentic cultural background. Cam was unapologetic and brutally honest when he said, "They're going to try to tell you that Shedeur was the problem. They're going to spin it that way. But we all know who the real problem was. It was Stefanski." And you know what? When you look at the evidence, it's hard to argue with that assessment.
The thing about Kevin Stefanski is this.
No.
Who has gotten better from the player's perspective that you can hang your hat on?
Say, I coached this guy. I made his career.
Newton pointed out something that's become increasingly obvious to anyone paying attention. Players simply don't get better when they play for Kevin Stefanski. And that's not just about one position or one player. We're talking about a consistent trend across multiple seasons, multiple rosters, and multiple opportunities. But when it comes to young black quarterbacks specifically, the track record becomes even more damning. Cam specifically highlighted the Shedeur Sanders situation as the perfect case study. Here you had a young, talented quarterback with all the tools, all the potential, coming from a legendary football family, and what happened? He was mismanaged, underutilized, and ultimately set up to fail. And now Stefanski is being rewarded for that failure by getting the Atlanta job? Newton made it clear that his concerns extend beyond just one player. The Falcons have a roster full of young prodigies, young talent with massive potential. But when you bring in a coach like Stefanski, who has repeatedly shown he can't develop young players, especially young black players, what exactly are you expecting to happen? Cam was crystal clear on this point. Atlanta has a team of young prodigies, but when it comes to Stefanski, he has not been able to do anything good for the young fellows, and especially when they are black. Take the case of Shedeur Sanders, for example. This isn't speculation. This isn't conjecture. This is based on observable patterns and documented results.
From what we've seen, don't get better with Kevin Stefanski. And I'm looking at the personnel of the Atlanta Falcons. They're a young team. You got Michael Penix as your quarterback, Drake London as your receiver, Kyle Pitts,
Bijan.
Like that's a very young team. Like your team is young. It's like you're inheriting something that's already great and ready to rock and roll.
The irony here is almost painful. The Falcons are bringing in a coach who has consistently failed to develop the exact type of talent that currently exists on their roster. It's like hiring someone who's failed every math test to teach your advanced calculus class. It just doesn't make sense, and Cam Newton is making sure everyone understands that. But Newton didn't stop at cultural critique. He came armed with cold, hard facts. And this is where things get really interesting, because you can't argue with numbers. Cam pointed out that Stefanski's record over the last 2 years has been worse than even the Falcons' previous coach. So let me get this straight. You're firing a coach for underperforming, and then you're hiring someone whose recent record is even worse? Make it make sense. Newton came out swinging with statistics that paint an absolutely damning picture of Stefanski's tenure in Cleveland. Are you ready for this? During his time with the Browns, Kevin Stefanski cycled through, wait for it, 13 different quarterbacks. 13. Let that sink in for a moment. 13 different signal callers, and he couldn't develop a single one into a consistent franchise-level performer. This isn't about 1 or 2 quarterbacks not working out. Every coach has misses, but 13 different attempts with 13 different players and not one success story to show for it? At some point, you have to stop blaming the ingredients and start looking at the chef. When the common denominator in all these failures is the same head coach, the same system, the same philosophy, then the problem becomes crystal clear. Newton also addressed what Stefanski's defenders love to point to, that playoff appearance in 2019. But Cam wasn't having any of that revisionist history. He pointed out that even that accomplishment has been called into question when you look at the sheer amount of talent that was available on that Cleveland roster. It wasn't Stefanski's coaching brilliance that got them there. It was despite his coaching, not because of it. And what's happened since then? Regression, stagnation, a revolving door of quarterbacks who come in with promise and leave with their confidence shattered and their potential unrealized. That's the Kevin Stefanski track record, and somehow the Falcons looked at that and said, "This is our guy." Cam Newton revealed that he's been vocal about Stefanski's coaching inadequacies for a long time now. This isn't a new take. This isn't Cam jumping on a bandwagon. He's been consistent in his criticism, and when Stefanski was fired by the Browns previously, Newton was actually in favor of it. He thought it was the right move. He thought it was justified. He thought it was, frankly, long overdue. Newton declared emphatically that when a coach goes through that many quarterbacks without developing a single one into a consistent performer, the problem isn't with the players anymore. The problem is clearly with the coaching, the system, and the inability to properly evaluate and nurture talent at the most important position in all of sports. And this is the key point that Cam keeps hammering home. This is about systematic failure. This isn't about one bad season or one player who didn't work out. This is about a pattern that's repeated itself over multiple seasons with multiple different players. And that pattern of failure falls squarely on the shoulders of the head coach. When you can't develop talent at the quarterback position, the most important position in football, what exactly can you develop? What exactly are you good at? These are the questions that Cam Newton is forcing everyone to confront. And they're questions that the Falcons front office apparently didn't ask before making this hire. So here we are. The Atlanta Falcons, knowing everything we know about Kevin Stefanski's track record, knowing how he handled young black quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders, knowing about the 13 different quarterbacks he cycled through without developing a single franchise player, knowing that his recent record is worse than their previous coach, they still decided to hire him. And Cam Newton is making sure we all understand exactly what that decision represents. This isn't just about football strategy or X's and O's. This is about culture, about community, about giving young black players a real chance to succeed. And according to Superman, the Falcons just fumbled in a major way. What do you think about all this? Do you agree with Cam Newton's assessment? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until next time, peace!